Okay, now let me discuss Booleans, okay, which is also very useful because sometimes you want to check whether some condition is true or not, okay. So Booleans. So like for example, if you want to check, you know, the average score, okay, which we have computed above is, okay, greater than 50 or not. Okay, so is the average score greater than 50? Is average score greater than 50? Okay, so what I can do is I can simply type this and then put greater and then 50. Okay, and this is going to give me this is going to return me one of the two values, true or false. Okay, and that's like, that is what you call it, a Boolean vector. Okay, so it's just going to take one of Boolean value, which it's just going to take one of the two values, either 1 or 0, or basically either true or false. So true is 1 and false is 0. Okay, so is going to take value true. Okay, and if you want to express it as an integer, okay, so there is an inbuilt function as dot integer which will convert this into an integer. Is it as dot integer? Let me check. Yeah. Okay, let me run this. Okay, and that's 1. Okay, so true is 1 and false is 0. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, fine. Okay, so you can also check if, let's say combination of two propositions is true or false. Okay, so like for example, you want to check if mean scores is greater than 50 and mean score is less than 75. So basically you are checking if it lies in some interval 50 to 50 to 75. Okay, is average score between, or let me write it in the interval form, in the interval 50 to 75. Okay, so this is how we can do it. We can just use this, okay, and then put and. Okay, so this is just the same thing like logical operator and, okay, and less than 75. Okay, so if both these conditions are true, then it's going to return true, and if any one of them is false, then it is going to return false. Okay, so let's run this and you can see it's false. Okay, let me quickly check what is my mean scores. Okay, just so that I can verify. So it is, oh, sorry about that, should be 75. Okay, thank you. Okay, now let me see. Okay, now it should give me value true. Okay, so I didn't change that value, that's why I got false. I mean scores cannot be more than 50 and less than 50 at the same time, so obviously it should give me false, and that's what I get. Okay, now let's run this. Okay, and then 65.8. Okay, so it's always a good idea to check your code on some small data set for which the results, so that you can debug your code. Sometimes these kind of errors happen. Okay, and when you're just trying to copy paste and just trying to save some time, these kind of errors can happen, and then you might want to just do some quick checks. Okay, so this is a very good idea. Okay, 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 so suppose I want to check or. So if is average score in a particular interval or in some other particular interval. Okay, so let's say I want to check is average score below 25 or above 75. Okay, So or will do exactly as we can expect, that is just going to return true if any of these condition is true, okay, and it's going to return false if both of them are false, okay. So if I do the same thing on mean scores, or let me do that on median scores, okay, is median score, okay. Median scores below 50, below 25, okay, above 75, okay, and instead of and I'm going to put or. For or you're going to use this, okay, is that fine? Okay, and let's run this. Okay, it's false. So let's see what is the median score. Let's do a quick check. So it should not be below 25 and above 75, okay. I mean, it should not be below 25 or above 75, okay. So let's just run this, and it is 65. So it is understood that you're going to get value false here, okay. So if you just change this to, let's say, less than or equal to 70, what do you think are you going to get now? If I'm going to run this, true, right? So let's just run this, and it is indeed true. Is that clear? Okay. 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 You can also check, this true and false, true or false. I mean, the combination. What value it returns by just using true and T and F. So if you just, let's say, T and F is F, right? So let's just run this, and you see it's false. Okay. And if you want to just if you want to check if true and false, or let's say false and false, okay. So if you want to check this one, what is this? Well, true and false is false, and this is also false. So false or false is false, so ideally you should get false. Let's run this, and indeed we are going to get false, okay. So you can actually use the brackets, and you can easily check what are the truth values for different possibilities by using them in combinations, okay. So all this is going to be really helpful, okay. Why is this going to be helpful? Well, let's do an example, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm again going to check scores vector, okay. Let's run this, okay. So we have this, okay. Now suppose I want to access those scores out of this vector that are greater than 60, okay. So I just want to access those ones, okay. So one way to do that is just look at this, and you see 1, 2, and 4 and 5, okay. 1, 2, 4, and 5, okay. So this is manual way of doing it, but can we do it in a better way? Yes, we can, okay. So what we can do is, instead of using this, okay, what we can do is we can put in the scores vector, you can put true here, false here, true here, true here, okay. So let me just do that quickly. T comma T comma false comma T comma T, okay. Now let's run this, and you can see that you got the same result, okay. So if you just put a false here, you just remove that entry, okay. Which is actually very useful, because now if you want all scores greater than 70, okay, sorry, 60, okay, you can just check that if you put scores greater than 60, it will return you a Boolean vector which is exactly true, true, false, true, true. Okay, now all that you have to do is just put that inside this. Okay, and just run this. Okay, and you'll get all the scores greater than 60. Okay, which is, so it's just a way of, you know, subsetting a vector, you know, using the condition that you want to be true. Okay, is that fine? So it will give you all the entries in the vector for which this condition is true. Have you understood this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now there is another interesting thing that you can do with this. Okay, so this is a way of subsetting the vector. That satisfy a given condition. Okay, now what if I want something like this? Suppose you know, whenever the score is greater than 60, okay, I want the score in that entry, and whenever the score is less than 60, I want 0 in that case. Okay, have you understood this? Okay, so I want a vector of the same size. It's just that I want to mask the scores which are less than or equal to 60 by 0. Is that okay? Have you understood this? Okay, so let's just do that. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, you already know how to do this actually. You know, I mean, all that you have to do is, if you recall, this is actually a vector of ones and zeros, right? This is actually a vector of ones and zeros, where 1 is true and 0 is false. So if you multiply them, the scores which are greater than 60 will stay as it is, and scores which are less than or equal to 60 will become 0. Okay, so let's run this. That's exactly what's happening here. Is that fine? Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now if you remember the price vector, okay, remember I told you that you know, you had zeros here, you had negative numbers here, and I don't want negative numbers. So whenever the quantity demanded is more than 50, you know, I want to put a 0 there. Okay, so now can you tell me what should I do so that, you know, the price vector is no longer you know, this, but let's say it's 50 to 0, and then after that it is 0. Okay, so all these entries I want them to be 0. So can you tell me what should I write here so that I get this? No, that's not going to work. Use the right brackets. This is not the right bracket. And secondly, this is not going to work. Okay, p less than 0 will, yeah, absolutely, you know, as just commented, you know, you can use something like this. Okay, okay, you can use greater than 0 or greater than or equal to 0. It doesn't matter, because you know, whenever it's 0, it stays 0. Okay, so even if you include it or not. Okay, so let's just run this. Okay, and you should get, you know, exactly you know, what we want. Okay, now what you can do is you can just overwrite p. Okay, you can just overwrite p. Okay, because p is still the same, you know, like if I run this, p is still the same. So to overwrite p, then I'm just going to take the old value of p, and I'm going to you know, create, basically I want to recreate p and use the old values of p to recreate p. So it's just going to overwrite on this. Okay, and you know, this is something which is very useful in programming, because you don't want to keep creating more and more variables. You want the same price variable, so so this is automatically going to happen, because right now the p has the old values, okay, and then if you just multiply these two, okay, the new vector is created, and then you're just assigning it to p, so basically you are overriding p, okay. So this is actually very useful. Now if you run this, okay, you will find that the new p is this. Is that okay? Okay, and now you can redo the above problem with this new p. Okay, I mean it's just the same thing, okay, that you have to repeat with this new p. Now you have avoided this negativity constraint. Is that clear to everyone? Basically, you have avoided this negativity in the prices. Okay, so now let me tell you how you can use the inbuilt plot function, okay, in R to plot a graph of some function. Okay, so this is basically the in the base package. Here we are not installing any package. This is the plot function that we are using is already there in the base package. Okay, so plotting a function using R. Okay, so let me plot the graph of x squared. Okay, and let me plot that from -2 to 2. Okay, so I'm going to use I'll just plot the graph of fx equal to x squared from -2 to 2. Okay, so for that what I want is a vector x which takes value between -2 and 2, and then I put a square on it, and then I use some function in R which can just give me the graph of it. Okay, so if I just use, let's say, -2 is to 2, okay, something like this. Okay, well, it will create a vector like let's just run this and check. Okay, it will create a vector -2 -1 0 1 2. Okay, right. Okay, so I mean it's kind of if I, okay, let's just try and plot. Okay, let's see if what's going to happen. Okay, so yx squared. Okay, and then let me use this inbuilt function plot. Okay, plot xy. Okay, and let me run this. Okay, so you can see that it has plotted something like this. Okay, well, this is not exactly what I wanted. I want a lot of points here. Okay, so there is a way in which you can create a vector like that. So instead of using this, you can use seq. Okay, so again, if you want, you can take help from R. Okay, so this is again an inbuilt function. So you want -2 to 2, and you want an increment which is, let's say, you are increasing this vector by 0.01. Okay, I mean, you are increasing the end, like, so you start with -2, then you increase at every step you increase the quantity by 0.01. Okay, so this, if you run this and then check what are the entries, you will find this. Okay, now if you plot this, okay, let's run this. Okay, you will get something like this. Okay, but you are getting this thick because it's it's a scatter plot. Okay, so if you just type that type is L, okay, then it will just create a line plot. Okay, is that fine? Okay, and this is exactly as we expected. Okay, okay, so at -2 it takes value 4, and then 2 it takes value 4. It's symmetric. Okay, it's an even function. Okay, so okay, so if you want, you can also change the colors. Color, let me just try this. No, let me just try this. Okay, red. No.
So can't we have a function which tells like we have a -2 to 2, all the real numbers. Like here we are, using sequences.
No, I mean that's I mean, why do you want it? I mean, you are achieving the job with the sequence, right? I mean, it's the same thing, right?
Okay.
Okay, it's a smooth function, so I mean, this is doing exactly the thing that you want. I mean, it's just filling it for you, right? I mean, just connecting all those points, and then if I take, let's say, I agree, if I take let me see. Okay, let me just run this. Okay, I agree that if I take an increment by 1, you will not get the exact picture. Okay, but if you take small increments, then you'll get a reasonable graph of x squared.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, okay, okay. So let me. I don't know why color is not working. I don't know. Let me see. I have to check the documentation, I guess. Let me see. Red should work. Oh, it's working. I don't know what kind of problem was occurring earlier. Okay, so now it's actually working. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you can change the color. Okay, if you want to add another graph to it, you can just use lines. Okay, x. Let's say you want to add well, let's say absolute value of y. Sorry, absolute value of x. Okay, abs x. Okay, and again, let me say that I think it's automatically going to take a line type. Okay, and then color is blue. Okay, okay, so let's run this. Okay, so you can see this is exactly what is the absolute value of x, right? Okay, is that fine? Okay, so I'll tell you, there is a package called ggplot, which is actually going to create better plots, and it's very useful, to do data analysis. Okay, so I mean, we don't use so much. I mean, I don't use so much of the inbuilt plot functions. Okay, but this is how you can plot it. Okay, if you want, you can also add you can label the axis the way you want. Okay, you can uh, add title. Okay, to this base plot function. Okay, and so basically you can label the graph, and you can title it. Okay, so this is how you can do it. I'll just quickly tell you. Okay, so you can, let me just try this xlab. Okay, so xlab equal to, let's say you want something like this. Okay, and then ylab. Okay, I'm just modifying it just to tell you that you can modify it. Okay, that's it. Okay, and then let's run this. Okay, you can see that you have modified or if you want some help, you can also type question plot. Okay, and you'll get the help. Okay, okay, so you can see that these are the different types. So here I've just typed type equal to L, which is for lines. If you, the default is points. Okay, which is a scatter plot. Okay, if you want both, you can type equal to B, and you'll get both. So basically you'll get the points as well as the line. Okay, and you can try the others as well. Okay, and this main is for the title, and xlab ylab that I just wrote is for labeling the axis. Okay, so if you want to also put the title, you can just main equal to, let's say graphs. Okay, and let's run this again. Okay,